بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So inshallah we're now moving on to lesson number 10. So we're following the text, but we're talking about خفي, مشكل, مجمل and متشابه, which are the opposite of the four we mentioned in the previous lesson, which was regarding ظاهر, نص, مفسر and محكم. Again, going to very simple. Each of these have more questions, more details, more analysis, jawab and all that. We just want to understand the basics for now. Okay. So ثم لهذه الأربعة, for these four, which four is he referring to? The ظاهر, the nas, the mufassir and the muhkam. These four have another four, تقابلها, which match them, oppose them or line up with them. This is the chart I gave you last time. You have it's called the mutaqabilat, bab tafa'ul, and bab tafa'ul has the meaning of opposition, come in line with one another. So we say ظاهر, on the opposite side of clarity is خفي. In nas we have mushkil, for mufassir we have mujmal, and muhkam we have mutashabih. These two are very clear how they're opposite, even muhkam mutashabih. In ظاهر and nas and khafi and mushkil, it's not the exact opposite. Like, this is why the text has been brought. This is not why the text has not been brought. But it's similar level of ambiguity, kind of. So these two, don't try to say, well, how is it opposite? They're just saying, this has a level of clarity, a slight level of clarity. This has a slight level of inclarity. Deeper level of clarity, a deeper level of inclarity. So it's not opposite in terms of a definition, it is opposite in terms of level of clarity and disclarity. You understand? Mufassar and mujmal, yes, they're opposite in both clarity and ambiguity, and they're also opposite in terms of definition. And muhkam, mutashabih, they have similarities in terms of clarity and sort being final, and so they link up. So when you see the mutaqabilat, what you need to keep in mind is that the primary opposition is in levels of ambiguity and clarity, not necessarily opposite in definition. Is that clear to everybody? ثم لهذه الأربعة أربعة أخرى تقابلها فضد الظاهر الخفي وضد النص المشكل وضد المفسر المجمل وضد المحكم المتشابه. What do all these mean? We'll go through it one by one. But we've already been through that chart. We know what is in the opposite of this. الخفي. فالخفي, what's خفي يخفى? لا يخفى على الله شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء. To be ambiguous, to be hidden. So الخفي ما أخفي المراد بها. It is that, is it أخفي خفية in yours? خفية, ain't it? Yeah, that would be better than أخفية. Yeah, this text I got is a bit of a weird one. So ما خفي المراد. So الخفي ما خفي المراد بها. الخفي is that word whose intended meaning, المراد بها, whose intended meaning has become obscure, ambiguous. بعارض, because of some external factors. How to translate بعارض? External factors. So الخفي is that word whose intended meaning is ambiguous. لا من حيث الصيغة. It is from an عارض, external factors, not because of the صيغة. We know what the word means. We are not sure of this word's application to something else. The ambiguity is coming about because of something external, not internally. We give an example here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. That the hand of a thief, this is biblical tradition, Judaism, all of them, the thief is punished. Yes, with all the conditions which is met. So, if they have a Islamic law, then this will apply. Yes? So what is it? as-Sariqu was-Sariqatu faqta'u aydiyahuma. A person who steals, this is the punishment for him. Okay. Now he's saying here, فَإِنَّهُ ظَاهِرٌ فِي حَقِّ السَّارِقِ. Like, when we say as-Sariq was-Sariqa, male or female, we know linguistically the word sariqa refers to أخذ مال محترم خفية. This wealth, and the wealth is muhtaram, meaning something is being looked after. Not like you got a dustbin outside or something next to the dustbin. There's no implication that it's like mubtadal, it's something not wanted. So it's something that has value. And you take it secretly. Correct? This is the linguistic definition of, this is the linguistic meaning of sariqa. Are you following? So when you read this word, the nas is the punishment of the sadiq. And the zahir is we can clearly state this punishment is for the person who is sadiqah. So far so good? However, if we think a bit deeper, we say, what about a tarrar? What about a tarrar is a person who the closest meaning in English is a pocket thief or something like that. It says here, it's in a hasha, you have the definition. Akhdul mali mimman huwa yaqdan. You take some money from somebody who's awake, who is intending to look after the wealth, but he waits for you to become a bit negligent. You got a guard. He's guarding the wealth, he's guarding something, and you wait till he hides, and then you go and take it. So being protected is khufya, but not 100% khufya. You just wait till he looks away, cameras are off, something like that. So is it included sadiqa or not? Because is it khufya, not khufya? You following? Nabash, a person who takes, again, nowadays we can't understand this because, well, in our country we don't understand it because we have so much, people buy like clothes and wear it once and throw it away. That's a problem as well, isn't it? Recycling clothes, because clothes are so cheap, or people have so much wealth, buy clothes once and they throw it away. Single-use clothes or twice use and they get rid of it. Yes, but in that time, sometimes poverty was such that people could only afford like a trousers or the garment to cover their bottom half, and the problems are not in that. So if somebody's been buried, you have 3 pieces of cloth. Somebody who's tempted to go and take that cloth and sell it, use it. So if a person goes to the grave, what you call in Urdu kafan chor, he sees from the grave. Now, is this sadiqah or not? We know the meaning of sadiqah. So the word sadiq, min haythu sigha, is clear. When the word sadiqah is used, the Arabs have a fixed meaning for this. You understand? But when they say, but does the word tarrar apply to it? Does the word nabash apply under sadiqah or not? This is the khafa. This is the ambiguity. This is the external factors are a bit ambiguous. Does the word tarrar, does the word nabash fit under sadiq or sadiqah? Remember again, this is for the had. If the qazi decides he wants to punish him in a different way, he can. Yes, but it doesn't come under the word, this ruling. He can give another ruling if he wants to. So it becomes khafi. And Imam Muhammad rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Abu Hanifa, because of this khafa, what did they do? They differ. Now, what's the ruling of tarrar and nabash? They don't differ between a sadiq, because that's qat'i. Yes, it's khas, it has a meaning, known meaning. There's no ambiguity, there's nothing. So that's qat'i dalala, qat'i thubut. So regarding sadiqah, nobody can have an ikhtilaf. Yes, there's circumstances where a person is extreme poverty, there's a drought, it is a very small amount. Those are the fiqh definitions. But there's no ikhtilaf regarding who fits under that. Regarding tarrar and nabash, there are ikhtilaf because it's khafi. So even though the word is qat'i thubut, the dalala is ambiguous. Okay? Is that clear to everybody? Okay. وَكَذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى الزَّانِيَةُ وَالزَّانِي. So zina is clear. What does zina mean? An unmarried couple, when they have fornication, this is called zina, adultery. Correct? Now, ظَاهِرٌ فِي حَقِّ الزَّانِي. This verse refers to a zani and a zaniya. Correct? So it's very clear the ruling regarding those two people. However, what about خَفِيٌّ فِي حَقِّ اللُّوتِ? It is khafi regarding a luti. I said, Mullah Shabi Than rahmatullah, he makes a very good point. He goes, I don't like the word luti. It's not originally Arabic. And the word lut, who is lut? Is a nabi. So whoever coined this term did not done a good thing. So you're attributing a fa'l su to a nabi. So it's and the word that they use in Arabic is al-ityanu fi dubur. But to use the word luti, they say is hasan. Because you're attributing a fa'l qabih to a sin. You're attributing a sin to the Prophet, to a Prophet of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. So therefore, it's best not to use the word luti, but it's the cat's out of the bag, or the worms out of the can. Ideally, avoid this. Okay. Now, is the luti involved? Is it in the same level or not? Is he okay? There's out of marriage, out of wedlock, but is it higher than zina, lower than zina? Then they have ikhtilaf. So the punishment can be carried out upon him. He can be punished, or he can be whatever the ruling is. But it wouldn't be under this rule, the zani or zaniya. Because Islam is impermissible. We have the right to our own personal morality. So in Islamic law, this is not impermissible. When it's impermissible, we know this. But there's a rule of zani, and zani applies another rule. But it depends on as-Shashi fi muhaqqihi. You understand? Okay. Everybody following? وَلَوْ حَلَفَ لَا يَأْكُلُ فَاكِهَةً. If a person takes an oath, he will not eat فاكهة. What happens now? كَانَ ظَاهِرًا فِي مَا يَتَفَكَّهُ بِهِ. Obviously, qasams are based on urf, but this was a masala that Imam Abu Hanifa and should discuss. So what did they say? They were saying that look, لو حلف لا يأكل فاكهة. I'm not going to eat فاكهة. So what does فاكهة refer to? So the word clearly applies to those things which you eat tafakkuhan. And there's a few things mentioned in the Hashia and the Shara. That tafakkuh, فاكهة, فواكه. Fawakeh is something which you eat supplementary, extra, dessert. For just enjoyment. It's not staple food. You understand? Yes? So النعم إنما يكون على أمر زائد على ما يقبل القوام. Not something you use to survive. It's something you do what? You eat on the side. So anything which is automatically, which is used as, let's say I'm not going to have fakiha. Obviously we have to look at our language in England and how we use the words. But let's say for argument's sake, like if you go to Johnny Custard and you have what do you call it? You have ice cream, or you have custard. What else do you have? Waffles. Are you going to break a qasam? Because all of these are things that you eat what? The excess. I'm not going to have tafakkuh. Obviously, fak is also fruits as well. But you get what I'm trying to say? That I'm not going to eat dessert. Let's say I'm not going to eat dessert. Let's say English. I don't eat dessert. Now, what's dessert? Now, let's say, for example, ice cream is dessert. The other thing I mentioned are dessert. But what about if something is not sure about it? What can be a dessert and not a dessert as well? Like a fruit juice. That's khafi. Is that a dessert or is that a core meal? It's khafi. We know what dessert means, but does it apply to this? Because some people have a fruit juice as a supplement, as an enjoyment at the end, and some people on diets have it as a staple. So Imam Sahib rahmatullah alayhi sahibain ikhdifa. Because inab and rumman, in their times, inab and rumman, some have said that inab and rumman are eaten so much, it's as if it's staple food. Inab is grapes, and rumman is watermelon, not watermelon, grapefruit, not grapefruit, pomegranate. Following? So inab and rumman, it is a fruit, but what is it? You know, it is tafakkuhan. So when a person said la akulu fakihatan, these words are ambiguous regarding this. So the word fakih is zahir fi nafsihi. We know what it means, but how does it apply to inab and rumman? Is it under fakih or not? It's khafi. Do you understand? Does everybody follow? Yes? Another example. Give an easy example. It comes in a hadith. Al-Qatilu la yarith. These are the athar of Sahaba. Meaning everybody agrees upon this. That a person who kills somebody will not inherit. A person kills his father, his brother, his mother, la qaddar Allah, la qaddar Allah, la qaddar Allah. He will not inherit. Yes? Now, we know what qatl means. Qatl applies to murder. What does it apply to? Murder. However, what about manslaughter? Qatl khata. Gross negligence. I don't know, he left the handbrake off, not pulled up on top of the hill, and then he got out of the car, and then the car just went down and picked up speed and then hit somebody at the bottom, hit his father, his mother, la qaddar Allah. Or something, he then just like he left the stove on near to the thing, and it says qatl khata. Or he was playing a baseball bat and by mistake something happened. Like it's basically a manslaughter. So is it apply here or not? So we know the word qatil is very clear. If you kill someone, you can't inherit from them. That's a punishment. But does it apply to manslaughter and qatl khata? We're not sure. So if zahir bi nafsihi, the word itself is clear. But does it apply to the second? These words are not. We're not sure. We have to do ijtihad. That's why it's called khafi. It's ambiguous or obscure. regarding application to these ma'ani. So the word has its own meaning. So you have the word, we have the lafz. It is what? Zahir. To this ma'na. We know that it applies to this ma'na. We have another ma'na. Is it applying here as well? Is khafi? Does it apply here or not? We're not sure. So the word qatl applies very clearly to first degree murder. Manslaughter, we're not sure if does it apply to manslaughter or not. Does everybody understand? What's the hukm? Hukmul khafi wujubu talab. Like you have to then, it's a nas. So you have to then figure out what is meant. So you have to continue trying to figure out what is meant. Hatta yazula anhu al-khafa. Until the ambiguity becomes removed. Does everybody understand this? Any questions? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem amma ba'd. So now we're moving on to al-mushkil. So we mentioned how we're going in discussing the clarity of the words. So in terms of clarity, we start off with khafi. And khafi is a word which in itself is clear, but ambiguity comes about because of the application to something else. Yes, we give the example of sadiqa and zina. These words are clear in themselves, but the application to other words is unclear. The mushkil, he says here, وَأَمَّا الْمُشْكِلُ فَهُوَ مَزْدَادَ خَفَاءً عَلَى الْخَفِي. It is more ambiguous than the khafi word. Now to understand this, if you look at it this way here, we say here we have khafa. Yes? And the khafa either comes about because of an arid. Yes, meaning the word itself is clear. But the ambiguity that we are facing, or the confusion that we are facing, is because of external factors. How does this word apply to the other word? Itself, we know what the word means. Yes? And if min haythul lugha bidhatihi, in itself that word is unclear. That's called what? What's it called? Mushkil. Does everybody understand? If the word is clear in itself, but the ambiguity comes out because of external factors, what's that called? Khafi. And if it comes about because of the word itself is unclear, what's that called? What's it called? Mushkil. Understood? Achha. So he says here, كأنه. Now he's explaining why it's called mushkil, which is tasmiyah. كأنه بعد ما خفي على السامع. كأنه, it is as though بعد ما خفي على السامع, that after it became خفية, hidden, concealed, على السامع, like you're not sure what it is. What's in your books? Huh? Yeah. This is حقيقته. So كأنه بعد ما خفي على السامع حقيقته, that after the reality or the real meaning of this word is concealed, دخل في أشكاله وأمثاله. Shakal is you have a shakal, you have a shakal, you have a shakal, and if you're all the same, you say ashkal, they're all very similar in their apparent outlook. Do you understand? So as if this word is khafiya ala sami. The sami is not aware what it means, and then this word has now gone and hidden. You know there's that little, when we were young we had this thing, find, there's like 20 people like similar, but it's slightly different, find the real one. So dakhala fi ashkali, now that's what it says mushkil. Ay adkhala fi ashkalihi. Now we can't figure out which one it is. حتى لا ينال المراد إلا بطلب. You can only find out or deduce the intended meaning بالتأمل, by طلب and تأمل, حتى يتميز عن أمثاله. Now again you can translate this, but the main purpose is saying here that khafi is a bit easier to solve and mushkil is a bit more difficult to solve. It needs more tadabbur, more ijtihad. Are you following me? Yes. Now it's not mentioned in the book. This next rule that we have here is not mentioned in the book, but these are some examples which will help us understand why is the word mushkil. Two examples, like two reasons why a word becomes mushkil. The first example, the first reason, the first scenario where a word may become mushkil is because of ishtirak. And we did an example before in Thalath al-Quru'. So a mushtarak is mushtarak, but in terms of how it has been coined. But in terms of its being zahir and khafi, is also what? Mushkil, because we don't know what it is. Another example we have, فَأْتُوا هَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ, regarding nikah. So nisa'ukum harthul lakum, your women are tillage for you. So فَأْتُوا هَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ. Now anna has two meanings. Min ayna and kayfa. It's mushtarak. So now what's the intended meaning here? It's mushkil. Now we have to look at other contexts. We look at the Quranic verse, we look at the ayah, hadith, we look at the whole context, siyaq, sibaq, we can determine one meaning. And you've done this already in tafsir, in Quran translation. Okay. Another example is kawnul lafzi dha wajhayn. A word has multiple elements. An example that's given in the other book is وَإِن كُنْتُمْ جُنُبًا فَطَّهَّرُوا. When you're in a state of janaba, فَطَّهَّرُوا. Now, it-tahara is more, it has more mubalagha than this normal cleansing yourself. So, it-tahur. What's the mubalagha in? So, some people have said the mubalagha is every part of the body, including those which are some aspects external, some aspects internal, like the mouth, the nose. And because of this, there's ikhtilaf in the mouth and nose. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi says, well, the mouth and nose are also farad in ghusl. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, I don't know about the other imam, they say sunnah. Because the mubalagha is not clear. Like, where's the mubalagha? Are you following? So this is example of mushkil. So mushkil can become, there's a few other reasons as well. But here, in khafi, we know what the word means. We're not sure whether the application does something else. And in mushkil, is the word in the sigha itself is ambiguity. In sadiqa, sadiq, we know what sadiq meant. We know there's no problem in that. Yes? In zaniyat wa zani, we know what zaniyat wa zani meant. But how does it apply to luti? Then we have here, anna shi'tum. The word anna, we're not sure what it means itself here in this context. Because we didn't know on the onset, then we can figure out from the context and the hadith, etc. And if at-taharu, the sigas mubalagha. How much mubalagha? You follow? These are examples where of why mushkil comes about. And he gives an example here. Now again, as I said before, some of these examples, we look at precedents and how the earlier fuqaha, what did they do? The earlier fuqaha, how they dealt with these examples and these juz'iyat for us to deduce rulings. So وَنَذِيرُهُ فِي الْأَحْكَامِ is part of, example of this in rulings is لَوْ حَلَفَ لَا يَعْتَدِمْ. He takes a qasam, an oath, and he says لَا يَعْتَدِمْ. Now itidam, if you look at the word idam, فَإِنَّهُ ظَاهِرٌ فِي الْخَلِّ وَالدَّبَسِ. What does it mean here? Because itidam is something, I think I wrote it down in the, when I updated the PowerPoints, but it's not in here. Itidam is when a person is something you eat with bread. What is it? Something you eat with bread. It's in a hasha, it's probably by the sutur in your books. Is it there? What's itidam? Yes, meaning idam. Idam is something you eat with bread. We have a bread, you have a roti, you have a chapati. What you eat with that is called itidam. Now it says here, ظاهر في الخل والدبس. So khal is what? Vinegar. So in those times, you eat vinegar with bread, like that's a meal. That's what you eat. That's clear. Yes? It's also very clear regarding asir of rutab. You got the dates. And then from the dates, you get some kind of, extract some kind of juice. It's also clear that this is part of idam. Again, it's not very clear to us because we don't even know like how these things are consumed. But he's given an example, not because he's trying to give it easy for us, he's trying to use the early examples that are mujma' alayh, or where the ikhlaf took place between Abu Hanifa and Sahiban. So this example will not be very clear to us, but he's using those ones that are already established in the early books, Jami' Saghir, etc. Okay? Now he says here, فَإِنَّمَا هُوَ مُشْكِلٌ فِي اللَّحْمِ وَالْبِيضِ وَالْجُبْنِ. Yes? When it comes to meat, when it comes to eggs, when it comes to like butter and that kind of stuff, it's mushkil. Why? يُطْلَبُ فِي مَعْنَ الْإِتِدَامِ. You have to say, well, are these included in the meaning of itidam? Are they eaten individually or are they eaten on their own? Yes? ثُمَّ يَتَأَمَّلْ أَنَّ ذَلِكَ الْمَعْنَى هَلْ يُوجَدُ فِي اللَّحْمِ وَالْبِيضِ وَالْجُبْنِ أَلَّا. Is it found or not? Again, these things are not something we are familiar with, or it's not going to click to you straight away. But the maqsood is, itidam itself is what? Ambiguous, because what considers as idam? So the word itself is not clarity in that word. Are you following? You following? You understand? So that's why I say this example, the word la ya'tadim, this is not mushkil. فهمت؟ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Now we're moving on to mufassar. Not mufassar, mujmal. When the opposite of mufassar is mujmal. So, ثم فوق المشكل المجمل. Above mushkil, what do you have? مجمل. I think I have مفصل in the heading, all of them. Okay. وهو ما احتمل وجوها. A مفسر, a مجمل is that word يحتمل, has multiple possibilities. Yes. فصار بحال لا يوقف على المراد به إلا. So the murad bihi, the intended meaning of it, أو وقف على, to become aware of, can only be understood ببيان من قبل المتكلم. Meaning the ambiguity in Khafi was such that we knew the word, we were not sure of its application to something else. In Mushkil, we were quite a bit unsure regarding the word, but using context we could figure out what the meaning was. If in Khafi and Mushkil you have a bayan as well, that's nur ala nur. Yes, but in Mujmal is that you cannot, it's so ambiguous that we are not able to deduce the meaning until the mutakallim himself or herself tells us what is intended. Okay. The example here in Shari'iyat meaning in Nusus. وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. It comes in the Quran. أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. So فَإِنَّ الْمَفْهُومَ مِنَ الرِّبَا هُوَ الزِّيَادَةَ الْمُطْلَقَةَ. That the word رَبَا يَرْبُو فَلَا يَرْبُو عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. So رَبَا يَرْبُو means to increase. Correct? So raba yarbu, you have to take out of your mind what you've learned, but don't take up permanently. But you've learned in Qudur already what riba means. But take it, go back to the Arabs. When they say use the word raba yarbu riban, it means something increases, it swole up. Fahimt? Now, haram al-riba, Allah has made increasing impermissible. What does it mean by increase? What kind of increase? Are you following? So now, until the Prophet ﷺ did not clarify to us what is meant by this, we could not figure out what's the meaning of this. Fahim? وَهِيَ غَيْرُ مُرَادَةٍ. I mean, an increase is not impermissible. If you buy a product, sell it for more money, what have you made? You've made a profit, haven't you? That's increase. That's not the murad. The murad is a specific type of increase. بَلِ الْمُرَاد الزِّيَادَةَ الْخَالِيَةَ عِنِ الْإِوَضِ. But the meaning is an increase which does not have any exchange. في بيع المقدرات المتجانسة. And this comes in Quduri, when you're selling things of the same amount and there's no extra. Yes, you sell, for example, 5 kilos of dates or 5 kilos of dates. Or sorry, 5 or 6. That's impermissible. So you're saying here, the meaning of riba in the Quran, in the Shari'iyat, in the Hadith, and when the Prophet says riba, is not the lawwi meaning. But we've got this bayan from the Prophet ﷺ when he explained the Hadith where he said these things have riba. That's a bayan from the Prophet ﷺ. So the lawwi meaning, that's not intended. Or what's the intended meaning? We would not have known had the Prophet not explained it to us. So it's called a mufassar, meaning it's a mujmal, and the Prophet ﷺ then what of it? Bayan. So the murad is a ziyada, which does not have an iwaz, meaning you're gaining something without any exchange for it. In muqaddarat. Muqaddarat means things which are measured, and mutajanisa means they're the same jins. This is from Quduri. Now where does riba take place? Riba takes place in money, which is a standard loan, you pay extra for time, or you have things which are measurable, which is either you measure it by weight or volume, and they're the same category, same genes. In those things you have riba. I'm not going to go through that, that's already in Quduri. You understand? So now here, the asal of Usool al-Fiqh that we're studying here is that sometimes you have a word whose intended meaning is not known. And if it is not understandable of a bayan from the mutakallim, this is called mujmal. Fahim? Ji. وَاللَّفْظُ لَا دَلَالَةَ لَهُ عَلَى هَذَا. The word riba itself does not have to say, well, al-bay'u al-muqaddarat al-mutajanisa. We would have figured that out. For example, Salatul Quru. Quru is mushkil because it has multiple meanings. We can use the context to figure out. But there's no context, nothing in and around the word وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا can tell us what the meaning is without the bayan from the mutakallim. Fahim? And what happens now? If you get a bayan of the mujmal, it becomes mufassar. If you don't get a bayan of the mujmal, it becomes mutashabih. A word whose intended meaning cannot be understood, and there is no bayan from the mutakallim. So the mujmal, so let's say for example we have a mujmal. Now if the bayan comes, it moves over to mufassar. So from being unclear, it goes over to being clear. And if there's no bayan, it becomes what? Mutashabih. We see that the sharih, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has used a word whose meaning we do not understand, and we have no bayan, so it's mutashabih. What do? We believe in it, We say it's haq, whatever Allah intends from this. So المتشابه ثم فوق المجمل في الخفاء المتشابه. In being ambiguous, more ambiguous than مجمل is متشابه. المثال المتشابه الحروف المقطعات في أوائل السور. ألف لام ميم كاف ها يا عين صاد. All of the حروف مقطعات at the beginning of the surah, according to one opinion, is متشابهات. The meaning is not known to us, and therefore, and there's no bayan, we can never forget what it means, so we do آمنا به. That's why Jalaluddin Mahalli and Suyuti both say, rahimahumullah, Allahu a'lamu bimuradihi bidhal ayt from mutashabihat. It is khafi, it is mujmal, the meaning cannot, it's khafi, it's beyond khafi going to mushkil, more than mushkil is gone to mujmal. Because you got no bayan, it remains what? Mutashabih. What's the rule of mufassar? Well, mufassar means mujmal. وَحُكْمُ الْمُجْمَلِ وَالْمُتَشَابِهِ. The ruling of a mujmal and the ruling of a mutashabih is اعتقاد حقية المراد به, is to have the aqidah and the belief that whatever is the intended meaning, we accept this حتى يأتي البيان, until a bayan comes to us. If no bayan comes, then it becomes mutashabih, and if the bayan comes, it becomes mufassar, and we do amal upon it. Is that clear to everybody? So let's have a recap here. Yes? So let's have a recap of what we've done so far. These are the main headings. So we said we're discussing words from different aspects. The first aspect where we discussed words were regarding how the word has been coined. Is it coined for a known meaning or unknown meaning? Or the meaning is ambiguous, obscure. That's khafi. If the meaning is known, we say it's either khas or am. If it can be mutlaq, it can be muqayyad. Correct? And then the am is either khussa anhu al-ba'd or lam yukhassa anhu shay, ghayr makhsus and makhsus. And then we have mushtarak and mu'awwal. And mushtarak can become mufassar. Correct? And the khafi can also become, the khafi, a mushkil, and a mujmal, you can all become, so a mushtarak, because a mushtarak is a part of is a type of what? Mushkil, isn't it? So you can have a mufassar. And if you don't do tafsir, what do? You use ijtihad, it becomes what? A khafi, if you do ijtihad, if you have a khafi, and you use the context to forget the meaning, that also becomes what? Mu'awwal. And if you have a mujmal, and you try to do ijtihad and forget the meaning, that becomes what? You can't do it. You can't do it. And if a tafsir comes of it, it becomes what? Mufassar. Understood? Yes? When you have that word, how do you use that word? So the first possibility is that you use it in the original meaning, ma wudi'a lahu. The second is use it in the majaz meaning, not the literal meaning, but another meaning that is linked to it. And then you can have sari and kinaya. Sari means that word is very explicit. We know what is meant. The haqiqah is meant or the majaz is meant. And kinaya means we're not sure if the haqiqah is meant or the majaz is meant. And after that, we went on to how the words are clear or ambiguous. So zahir is a text which you understand, the meaning you understand from the text without any additional, but whatever you can read and you understand is called the zahir. In nas is that meaning you've understood, and that meaning is the purpose the text has been brought. A mufassar is that thing which the mutakallim has clarified, and it removes any ambiguity, and it removes the possibility of takhsis and majaz. And a muhkam is that word, is that sentence or that kind of structure which can no longer become mansukh. Correct? A khafi, the word itself is clear, but its application to another member is what? Obscure. A mushkil, the word intrinsically, bisighatihi, in self is unclear. And in khafi and mushkil, you can use the context to figure out. For him, if you use the context to figure out the khafi and mushkil, what does it become? If you have a khafi and a mushkil, and if you use the context to figure out, what does it become? Mu'awwal. Yeah, it's mu'awwal because you figure, okay, this is what it means. Yes? And if you have a mujmal, you have to have a bayan. But if a bayan comes, it goes over to mufassar. If no bayan comes, it becomes mutashabih. Is that clear? Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.